Welcome to Direct and Current, an audio broadcast presented by Electrical Business Magazine. I'm Anthony Capkun. The journey toward electrifying our transportation has made great strides. Let's look at some numbers. Between March 2024 and March 2025, Canada's public EV charging network expanded by 24.2%, adding 6,586 new charging ports nationwide. That's 549 new chargers each month, 18 every day. And as of March 2025, the nationwide total of public charging ports was 33,767 across 12,955 stations. Like any great sea change, there are bound to be hiccups when it comes to electric vehicles. One of those hiccups is EV supply equipment, aka those EV chargers. In fact, the number one frustration for EV drivers is charging stations that are out of service or just not operating as they should be. As such, there's an entire business model based on just maintaining and servicing existing units. Here to speak with us about the state of EVSE is Theo Brillhart. As technology director with Fluke, he manages a team of senior and principal engineers who are responsible for technology investigation, new product and platform design, and the development of global industry standards. Theo, thanks for joining me for this discussion on EV supply equipment.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Anthony. Thank you.
So let's get right into it, Theo. We know that electric vehicle adoption continues at a good pace, but what is the state of our electric vehicle charging infrastructure?
Yeah, okay. This is a big question, so I'll try to distill it.
Not too big of
And,
a question, is it?
yeah. Just to what I know, and I can provide my perspective here. Um, Clearly, large investments are being made by the auto industry, something short of $200 billion so far, either spent or committed on new vehicle development and production facilities. Um, However, the investments in charging infrastructure so far have been just a fraction of that, something like $7 or $8 billion to date. Uh, and an example of this is California, right, which leads the nation in EV adoption. Has the highest number of charging stations in the country, something like 150,000 so far. However, the availability is almost the lowest in the country. As a ratio to the vehicles, it's something like 29-1. There's only one charging point for every 29 vehicles. Clearly, we need more chargers in places where drivers can easily access them. That's kind of the way I see it.
Interesting. I didn't know that number. I didn't realize that the number was so small, that ratio of investment into the electric vehicles themselves versus the investment into
Oh yeah, it's
into
like
the charging
less than a
infrastructure
fifth.
they need.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes nicely into my next point because I would imagine, especially in a state like California or other jurisdictions where there is good electric vehicle penetration, what's it's got to lead to some charging anxiety when you don't know if there's going to be a charger available for you or when. I remember, we constantly used to write about range anxiety, going back
Mm-hmm.
10 or more years. That seems to have been addressed. More people seem to be more comfortable with that. But now there's charging anxiety. So tell me a little bit about that.
No, you're absolutely right. From the beginning, consumers have been rightly skeptical about the range of electric vehicles. Why would I replace my existing vehicle with one half to one quarter of the range? But now you've got new models topping out over 400 miles of range on a single charge, and most owners, of course, something like 80+% in the U.S. and Canada, are charging at home. So this range anxiety, I think, is greatly reduced by the battery technology in the new vehicles. But of course, then the next greatest concern becomes, will I be able to charge when I need to away from home? This becomes what I call, or many people call, charge anxiety for extended trips, right? Beyond commuting.
And so do you find that Um, well, basically that we're lacking, getting back to that whole investment piece that we were talking about earlier, it's just not being built fast enough to accommodate the market.
That's right. Yeah, with internal combustion vehicles, we're very used to a gas station on every corner, right? And we're not there yet with the charging infrastructure. We've got to get to a point where it's as uh, intuitive and available as gas pumps, essentially.
Or one of my favorite words, which I like to throw into conversation whenever possible, as ubiquitous as those gas
There
stations.
you go.
You know,
That's right.
every day you have to find an excuse to use the word ubiquitous. So, so now tell me, Theo, with the public charging, because you had mentioned residential, um, people charging at home. So, public charging stations, public availability. What do you see? What do the latest studies tell us about the success rates with public charging infrastructure?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not great, but it is improving.
I'm sorry, I just laughed over your answer.
Yeah. No, a recent study, I think it was University of California, Davis, recorded a 72% first time success rate, right? So, I mean, uh, completely unacceptable compared to what we're used to for consumer petrol stations, right? And something like 1/3 of the failures in these cases were attributable to maintenance issues. Um, but on the improvement side, the glass half full, um, interoperability testing from groups like CharIN and ChargeX, the charging consortium, they're gaining traction and having a positive impact on the industry. So that the chargers themselves, the quality is elevating, and their interaction with the vehicles is becoming very consistent. But more has to be done to close this performance gap, clearly.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of recommending two things here out of my experience with the industry and the equipment. Um, in my opinion, it's a greater focus on interoperability. It needs to continue. This needs to include certifications to standards and norms. We now have certifications available through laboratories like DECRA in Michigan and California. And then of course, and these are available to the OEMs who make the chargers. And
Okay.
I think consumers should insist on these, right? Operators as well. And then, of course, taking a more standardized approach to routine charger maintenance. It's often an overlooked link in the ecosystem of providing, a delightful consumer experience.
Well, before you touched upon a few things there that I want to delve into just a little bit later. But first, I want
Mhm.
to basically unpack what do we mean when we talk about success rates at EV charging stations? Are we talking about availability? Someone's actually able to pull up, plug in, and use it, or is
Mhm.
success being able to pull up, charge, pay and have all that execute correctly? What are all the things that mean success?
Oh, yeah. We usually look at success, especially in these studies, as uh, success at the first time attempt. So, right from whatever app you need to use, if you need to use one, uh, straight through to completing a full charge. So that's considered success. Um, and this often entails interaction with a UI, a user interface of some sort, either on your phone or on the charger itself. That's probably the first point of failure. So we get a lot of communications issues or damaged chargers where the touchscreens or the point of sale interface just doesn't work. Um, and then, of course, your vehicle and the charger have to agree on circumstances for charging. And we've had interoperability problems for years. Like I said previously, these are improving tremendously and rapidly, thanks to the organizations I mentioned. Uh, uh, After that, once the vehicle and the charger have agreed that they can transfer energy, you're good to go, right? But you're going to have to get a receipt, and you're going to have to know that you received what you paid for. And that speaks to accuracy, really, because these things are dispensing energy now in the form of electricity, and not a gasoline that can be measured volumetrically, right? These machines have to be calibrated, and that takes very special equipment and operators to perform the accuracy calibrations that are required by law for consumer protections.
Let's dive right into some of the things that are going to impact that success rate. So, what are some of the more common maintenance challenges when it comes to EV supply equipment? And to add on to that, why is a trained, certified workforce so critical
Mm.
on the maintenance side?
Hmm.
So let's start
Well,
with some of those common maintenance challenges first.
yeah, I think I mentioned communications issues, right? These machines they're typically connected, many of them through cellular connections, and if not, they can be hardwired through an Ethernet connection. But communications issues, software updates, the technology within these chargers is changing rapidly, and they're going through multiple software updates frequent within a year, typically multiple. And then damage to cables and connectors is probably, I'm kind of ranking these in my head here. And then vandalism. There's unfortunately a good deal of vandalism that goes on with these machines. They sit out 24/7 and sometimes in harsh environments or neighborhoods. But when we look at these things at Fluke, and as an industry, we like to distinguish between routine periodic maintenance and reactive maintenance, right? So there's a certain set of things that this type of machinery requires on a regular basis, and that's cleaning filters, checking the thermal systems that are removing heat from the machine, and torquing the bus bars, checking for ground faults, and making sure the emergency and safety stops all work. And then, of course, just checking the things that are directly in front of the customer, like the touch screen and the point of sale equipment. That's the routine stuff that you really got to be doing that all the time to accomplish some form of uptime, I like to call it.
Hmm.
And then, of course, reactive maintenance is, force majeure. It couldn't be helped. Somebody ran into the damn thing, right? And in that case, you're in a reactive mode, and you want to have a service provider that can respond and maintain your uptime with a reasonable assurance of timeliness. Um, but I think you mentioned the workforce as well, right?
Precisely,
In
precisely.
order
And
to
just
do all this.
I was going to say, and with that list of just the standard maintenance stuff that folks should be doing, even before you get into the reactive, to me that speaks to you need qualified, trained people.
Exactly right. Yeah. It takes experienced technicians that have received uh, direct advanced instruction from the original equipment manufacturer typically. Now, there's generalized trainings available through some very credible organizations. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, for instance, has a program that has, I think, they've more than 20,000 graduates by now, and that gives you the foundation, right? That foundation, you need to layer on specific trainings with the original equipment manufacturers, and those are available as well from the top tier manufacturers. Um, but it's also true these machines are complex, and this necessitates tools and equipment with that have an understanding and a traceability to the published standards that the chargers are trying to operate to. That's how you can be sure that the job gets done right.
And actually that flowed quite nicely into the question where I was going to return to those standards, and I was going to
Mm.
ask you, so how do the global standards, pardon me, and the tools that are traceable to those standards make a difference in electric vehicle supply equipment availability?
Yeah, I'm super happy you asked me that. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart. I've been doing international standards for many years now, and I see it paying off for consumers across the globe. Um, Fluke we take an approach that any problem we're solving typically requires the application of global standards and or best practices for test and measurement application. And these circumstances are no more evident than they are in the EV charging networks. Because all chargers have to eventually operate with all vehicles, right? Um, it has to be standardized. So my colleagues and I have spent years developing state-of-the-art tools and methods for all kinds of infrastructure maintenance, following this kind of philosophy. And that's why we're given a seat at the table when experts draw up these kinds of standards for the EV industry. We believe that appropriate standards and best practices can be democratized, right? So this turns them into an easy to use solution for a tool. And we do this by putting the expert in the box, so to speak, right? So technicians don't have to know the letter of the standards, right? This is what we strive for in a traceable tool.
Very good. So then chances are someone is picking up a Fluke tool for testing electric vehicle infrastructure, and it should probably speak to or address the same standards in the United States as it would in Canada.
That's exactly right.
No, that's excellent. That's excellent. And it gives the purchaser of these products, of these solutions, a little more peace of mind that, okay, this tool that I'm using here, let's say in Ontario, is probably going to be a good tool if I take it to another province, if I take it across the border to test this other thing. So that's
That's
good.
exactly right.
That's good to know. Good to hear. Uh, Let me sort of pivot a little bit and get to charging station operators. So, what should a charging station operator focus on in their contracts and in their service agreements?
I'm glad you asked because this is overlooked frequently. And I think when it's done well, it provides a lot of assurance for both parties, both the maintenance provider and the contracting operator. First and foremost, I got to insist on continuous training and certification of your maintenance operator. Um, this, ensures that technicians will meet the evolving technical demands. These machines aren't standing still; they're being improved, and charging rates are going to go up as well. So we have that to look forward to. When I say rates, I don't mean the dollar amount. I mean the energy transfer is going to be increased. Um, on top of that, though, there are specific original equipment manufacturer's instructions that need to be available to both parties, both the operator and the maintenance provider. You want to also separate operation and maintenance contracts from the charger warranty. And sometimes that gets in a very gray area, and it's very easy to start finger pointing, and it really needs to be clearly separated. So you have a functioning warranty for the equipment that's separate from a maintenance agreement.
Mhm.
And then alignment I think is really crucial here. The operator needs to incentivize their maintenance operator with things like service level agreements and an uptime target that both parties agree on is what good looks like, right? And write that into your maintenance contracts. The industry and the operator and the maintenance provider are only successful if these chargers are operating and we have good uptime.
Now, just out of curiosity, Theo, what would a good service level look like? I guess, heaven would be
Mm-hmm.
100%, but what is the more
Yeah,
realistic
yeah,
one?
on call like an ambulance, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's not realistic for anybody running a maintenance contract. But right now, best in class I'm going to pull an example out here. Is a company I'm a big fan of. It's Charger Help down in LA. They're offering 2-day and 5-day service level agreements. So that means somebody crashes into your charger, right? They're contractually obligated to have that thing back online in 2 days. And that's what I consider best in class right now.
Wow, that's really good because that, depending on the size of the charger, depending on the voltage, I mean that could be a serious installation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
All
And
right.
of course, it's conditional. There have to be parts available and things of that nature. But those service level agreements exist, and they're a great how should I say, a lubricant for getting the uptime that we need.
Very good, very good. Well, and now we have an example that others can aspire to. Um,
Exactly right.
Now, Theo, we've talked about maintenance, the need and the desire. We want to have these things available. We have an understanding of what success looks like for the charging experience from start to finish. We talked about ongoing training, the electric vehicle infrastructure training program, EVITP. So all of that is very important and I think we've covered it. But now, if you had to
Yeah.
leave my readers and my audience with one message about, if you can, build a future-proof electric vehicle supply equipment ecosystem, how would you do it? How do you future-proof this?
Oh boy. Um, I'm
That's
gonna
not a
just
loaded question at all, Theo.
yeah. Okay. Well, I guess it comes down to two things here, and they have parts, right? Uh, Firstly, I like to say take a standardized approach to the EV charging maintenance. Uh, Keep up with the routine maintenance tasks, regular safety and operability tests, using certified technicians, and requiring standards compliant tools and equipment, basically. The other half is aligning the charge point operators' needs with their maintenance contractor. Um, and I think like we just touched on, this is nailing down a service level agreement for response time and overall uptime requirement. If you can fix all of those things into place for your next operation, you're going to be truly future proof, I think.
Very good. Or insofar as you can be until the next technology comes along.
That's right. I'm just waiting for the next wave. Yeah.
Well, Theo, thank you so much for joining me and just explaining what it is that we're striving for with our
Mhm.
electric vehicle supply equipment, our EV chargers, what uptime looks like, what availability looks like, what we should be striving for, what our audience should be striving for. So I really appreciate you sharing your insights.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I'm always happy to shine a light on these things.